Esteemed representatives of the Eorzean Alliance, on behalf of the Gallian Empire, I thank you for inviting me here today. As this parley was convened at your request, I invite you to speak first.
Very well, Your Radiance. I, Nanamo Ulnamo, 17th in the line of Ul, should be pleased to oblige you. As recent events in Alamigo and Domar have made plain, the subjugation and exploitation of neighboring nations is not a sustainable policy. Should this day end in war, you may very well defeat us, but you will never extinguish the people's desire for freedom. Though it may not be in our lifetime, there will be another revolution, another war, and the cycle will continue. Domar has entered into a concord with the nations of Eorzea, a partnership wherein we recognize one another as equals. Garlemald could be afforded a similar treatment. You need only set aside your ambitions and join us in paving a path towards peace.
You will not win me over with sophistry, Your Grace. As you only know too well, this alliance lacks the strength to keep the peace within its own borders. Even now, your struggles with the beastmen continue unabated. Divided, you sow this fertile soil with the seeds of your differences and reap naught but discord and chaos for your trouble. Eorzea must be united under one leader, one purpose. I would offer you both and bring an end to your strife.
Oh my God, with all due respect, Your Radiance, the only thing that you offered to the people of Alamigo was fear and hopelessness. The citizens of Domar can also attest to the meager alms of imperial rule. There is no purpose to be found in a life of oppression, each day more uncertain than the last. Our people are willing to die for their freedom. A great many already have, and countless more will, if we don't put an end to this madness here and now.
We brought order and stability to your lives. This madness and bloodshed is your own making. You broke the peace, not Garlemald.
Peace. Order. You kill our peoples, despoil our lands, take everything that is ours. And what? You expect us to lick the boot that grinds our faces into the dirt?
I expect you to weigh the costs, to recognize that countless lives have been lost on both sides in pursuit of a greater good. and not to squander all we have achieved in a fit of petulance.
Your Radiance, I fear I can personally attest to the dangers of pursuing one's vision with such righteous fervour. For 1,000 years, the Holy See of Ishgard waged war with dragons. 1,000 years of sacrifice, of sorrow and hate, in which we bathed in the blood of friend and foe alike. Had it gone on any further, we may as well have drowned. Yet we have chosen to raise ourselves out of this bloody spiral. We've made sure. We've made peace with our former enemy.
So I understand. No doubt the dragons were more receptive to your overtures in the wake of their leader's demise. You speak of peace, yet you use war to achieve it. Your fathers would not have bothered to obscure his intent with honeyed words. He understood that strength is all that matters in the end. Without clarity of vision, I can but wonder what will become of Ishgard and her people. There was a time when Garlemald too lacked a leader of conviction. Weak, unable to wield magic, we were at the mercy of the strong, from whom we sought refuge in the bitter cold of the north. Were it not for the discovery of ceruleum and the subsequent development of Magitech, we might never have gained the power to take back that which was rightfully ours.
You speak as if your people were the first to be driven from their homes. Limsa was built by wayward souls in search of a place to call their own. On the shores of Vile Brand we found it. From those humble beginnings did we grow and flourish, and all without robbing our neighbors of their liberty.
So saith the pirate. Am I to believe you simply asked the kobolds to yield their lands? That they were happy to oblige you? That you did not drive them out like rats in the hold of one of your many ships seized by your privateers? I will concede that, after centuries of exile, reclamation may be mistaken for invasion. Nevertheless, it is not, and those who till stolen soil have no right to object when cast out in turn.
Your uncompromising nature rivals that of the Exile. They too lament circumstances which they themselves perpetuate. Were they but to embrace peace, we would welcome them with open arms. Indeed, some few have done just that, and now receive of the 12 Woods bounty. Would that your people might learn from their example.
You would dare compare us to the Birdmen? You who thought to invoke the 12 and threaten all creation. I came here in the hope to find some speck of common ground. But I see these discussions will accomplish nothing. Despite what you people might believe, I am not wont to choose the sword over the olive branch. 'Tis but a pity men are loath to accept one without being shown the other.
Wait, I beg you. This meeting was supposed to be a chance to find a way forward together, not to bemoan the missteps which brought us here. Please, if you truly consider violence a last resort, there must be a way that we can come to an agreement. As Mistress Alisaie says, we did not come here to bicker over the past, but to discuss how we might strive towards a brighter future. Emperor Varis, may I suggest a short recess, that all present might compose themselves prior to beginning anew?
Very well. I pray this intermission will suffice to move these talks in a more constructive direction.
Holy fuck.
Phew, this is really not my forte. After his Radiance's little performance, it was all I could do not to swear at him. I honestly don't know how I ended up playing the mediator. I just asked myself what Alphinaud would have done. Tried my best to do the same, and by some miracle, it worked. But there really is no common ground to be found with that man, nor do I think that he looked for any. So the question becomes, what did he come here to do? Because you may be certain it wasn't to make peace. Whatever it is, I can't make it out. Not yet, at least. We do have a little time before the Parley is due to reconvene, though. So why not try consulting our illustrious leaders? Perhaps they have some insight to share.
This parley was never likely to bring peace, but I had hoped to learn something of Emperor Varis' relationship with the Ascians.
Aye, that's had we all. If he is in league with them, he's not likely to volunteer that fact. And if he's not, how much weaker would his position seem for their presence? If we'd approach that particular subject, we need to be subtle. Would that I knew more of the man. If you'd indulge me, Lord Hien, you received an imperial education, did you not? Is it true that the Emperor's will is considered absolute?
There is no high authority in all of Garamond, nor else in the heavens, come to that. Veneration of the gods is forbidden, the only worship permitted being that of His Radiance's own person.
Boo!
I share your disdain for their hypocrisy. Even as they denigrate the idea of faith, they revere their leader with a fervor that others reserve for the divine. It is a flaw common to much of the doctrine they fed us. Logical on the surface, perhaps contradictory upon closer examination. I wonder if a discussion of the various discrepancies might prompt Varis to reveal something.
I will say one thing for this verse.
He is very well versed in the Yorzian history.
His interest in our affairs is that of the beast and its prey. The conqueror would know his enemies.
All should know their enemies. Yet there is much more that we do not know of the Empire.
Then it's up to you to change that. Boo!
You would have me ask the Emperor himself. Perhaps there is some wisdom in that. If we can skirt the storm of his displeasure, we may yet come to our answers, even if it does mean sailing close to the wind.
12 have mercy. I do declare, but for Lady Alisaie's timely interjection, we might well have come to blows at the negotiating table. Not that Emperor Varis left us so many great options. Is unconditional surrender all he will accept, do you think?
Before he arrived, I'd have said yes. But having heard him speak, I can't help but think he came with some other end in mind.
Oh my god, exactly. He's building up to something. I know it. Well, how should we approach the rest of the parley? Have you anything to say, Warrior of Light?
Invite Varis to explain himself! Boo!
You believe that he's more apt to reveal the truth if we put him at ease? Perhaps you're right. Thank you, Sebby. You've spoken to everyone, then? Good. Now all that remains is to await the pleasure of the Emperor, and hope we fare better on the second attempt.
Now then, who would have the floor?
I do declare, before we resume, I would wish to offer you an apology. After you graciously accepted our invitation to discuss an armistice, we have done naught but rebuke you at every opportunity. I believe I speak for all of us when I say that I am deeply sorry for our discourtesy.
I will admit, your familiarity with our affairs surprised me, and served to remind me how little I know of yours. I think all here can understand the desire to reclaim one's homeland. But why expand further? That's my question.
If I may, the answer can be found in the Imperial doctrine they took great pains to impart to my people. Recognizing the threat that icons pose to the world, Solus Galvus decreed that they were to be eradicated. To this end, he began a campaign to unite all lands under the Garlean banner. Or so we were taught. Yet the Emperor only reached the barrens said to have been laid waste by the icons, after conquering all the lands and lay between. What is more, I am quite certain the practice of summoning was not nearly so widespread in the days before the Emperor's founding.
Oh my god, when you put it like that, it all starts to sound like an excuse, doesn't it? But to distract from what? Why are you really waging this war?
Finally, you ask the right question. I can but hope you heed mine answer, and at last accept the righteousness of our cause. My goal is this: to return the world to the way it once was, the way it was always meant to be. In doing so, mankind will be made whole once more. No longer will we suffer from the dissension born of our differences. There will be but one race, a perfect race, as we were when time began.
What in Rauger's name are you talking about?
I am talking about the origins of this star, of the source and its 13 reflections. At the instant of the Great Sundering, 'twas not only the world that was shattered, but mankind itself. Thus, we were divided into myriad races, each with its own unique imperfections. That is why man looks upon his neighbor and feels fear and hatred. Why he wages war. Why he kills his brother. You all in your own way have proven as much today. The peace you seek is but a fleeting solution to a fundamental problem. One which calls for more drastic measures. To bring about everlasting peace, our worlds must be rejoined. That is the goal the Empire would see realized. The glorious future unto which we shall one day shepherd mankind.
A rejoining of worlds.
I've heard this tale in the source and its reflections before. Are these not the selfsame desires of the Ashians?
Emperor Varis, do not trust their words. They'll lead you to your doom. My father thought to use them, but in the end, he succumbed to their temptations. He embraced summoning like so many pawns before him. Do not tell us that you mean to do the same.
To be a pawn, free from the burden of choice, that would be a blessing. But I forswore that privilege the day I learned that the Garlean Empire was built by the hand of an Ashian.
What?
Yes. My grandsire, the former emperor, is of their number. And who better to build an empire capable of bringing about the calamitous change we desire? Would you condemn me for this alliance? For bowing to the wills of these shadowy masters, when the prize is true and lasting peace?
Your prize is a lie! Your masters, demons! Boo!
I came not to conquer, but to liberate. To free man from the prison of divergence. Imagine a world united. One perfect race beneath a single standard. An army before whose might these servants of darkness and light would fly as leaves in a storm, never again to meddle in man's affairs. We would be masters of our own fate. I bid you to join me, not as subjects of Garlemald, but of a new nation, Together we shall win freedom for ourselves and generations yet unborn.
You want to trigger another half-dozen calamities? Oh my god!
Have you forgotten how many died? There will be none left.
Do you truly imagine we would aid you in your bloodletting? It is unthinkable, unconscionable.
And what is the alternative? To be as cattle waiting for the slaughter. I would have us work together, that we might take fate in our own hands.
Into your hands, perhaps. But what of the other worlds, your radiance? With every calamity, you obliterate a star and every soul that dwells on it.
To the Ashians, we are all but tiny momentary specks within an indifferent universe. We cannot hope to oppose them until we have been made whole once more.
Are these truly the words of Garlemald's ruler? The flaws and foibles which you so abhor are what make us who we are. Every nation, even yours, Emperor Varis, is made whole through the combination of these imperfections, the strengths of one compensating for the weaknesses of another. While it's true that man succumbs all too often to anger and avarice, he may yet overcome his baser instincts through the forming of bonds with others, fostering community and cooperation. That the protector of an empire should not only reject these fundamental truths, but seek to change them at so dear a cost of life, is indefensible. Such a man is not fit to govern.
And you, warrior of light, would you refuse me as well?
Boo! It would seem that the Alliance is of one mind on this matter.
You Eorzeans never cease to disappoint me. Though I suppose I only have myself to blame for expecting more from savages. This discussion is at an end. I bid you make ready for our next meeting. It will not be at the negotiating table.
Right.